Is there anything else you want me to make sure I cover? Yes?
So I guess many of us from other
Yeah.
countries, and yeah, I got here just a year ago, and so I don't understand some things that you talk.
Okay.
Also, and I don't have any computer background like maybe you.
Yeah, right.
So it's important for me to have textbooks or handouts. But do you always get something?
Yes, we'll deal with the textbooks. I'll give you a sense of some of the resources and libraries that become available to you. Okay, so yeah, I will handle that. On a sort of a bigger scope, I totally understand what you're saying though about the difficulty, the ramp up. I don't have a lot of computer science experience to begin with. I'm fresh here in this community. It's gonna be hard. And the truth is, I can't take that away. Yes, it will be hard, but not impossible. I think that's important to know. Yes, it's going to be hard to get yourself ramped up. Yes, it's going to take some work. However, it's very possible to do. Okay? And we have, we've seen students come through, and from a recruiting perspective, I've seen many resumes of students who, 3 or 4 years ago, they were not in software test at all, and they have groomed themselves and learned what they needed to learn to be good at it. Okay? We'll talk about some of the core characteristics as well, some of the things I call tester DNA. We'll talk about some of those as well. Okay? I quizzed this gentleman earlier in class before our whole presentation started. I want you to understand something real quick for everybody who's fairly new to this idea of software testing, okay? I want you to understand something. Even folks who have a computer science degree, folks who went to MIT or Stanford or Cal Poly or wherever they went, even for folks with a CS degree, they do not get a lot of time learning software testing. This has never been a skill set that's been taught academically, that's been taught at major universities as a bachelor's degree program. It's not the way this profession has developed. This profession has developed experience-based, on-the-job, lessons learned. What that should say to you, what I hope it speaks to you is, nobody has some sort of magic advantage of already having a degree in software test. And many developers, many folks who work as software developers all day long and are great software developers, still know very little about the basics of software testing. It's unfortunate, by the way. It hurts both professions to some degree. It sometimes causes developers not to know how to talk to testers and testers not to know how to talk to developers. Okay? But on average, a typical CS degree holder has less than 40 hours of schoolwork, okay, classwork, coursework on software test. We learn all of this the same. We get on the job, we start learning, we start hitting the books, we start going to classes. That's how we learn this business, okay? I believe software test is a separate science and discipline. I don't believe it's exactly the same as software development. They are similar, they need each other, but they are different. Okay? From a software test perspective, I think we have various techniques for verification and validation of software. I think we have to have an understanding of how to attack software. We've got to have an understanding of the components of software quality. Okay? And as I mentioned before, traditionally all this has been learned through continuing education and on-the-job training. And as you mentioned before, this continuing education includes self-study. Just as a quick little note for some of you, from a recruiting perspective, one of the classic interview questions I like to ask candidates is, what have you recently read related to this profession? And using just a general heuristic, the 80-20 rule, I'm always surprised that about 80% of candidates say nothing. Well, I haven't read anything in a long time. Boy, what a sad, what a sad deal that is. I have to already look at a candidate and say they're not actively engaged if they're not constantly, reading at least a little bit. I read an article, I read a blog entry, I read this or that. So, I need you to consider this question real quick. I need you to consider this for yourself. Why formal classes versus self-study using web content? You know, one of the big changes in IT and computer science disciplines is the rich content now available on the web. There's a ton of great stuff about software testing on the web. There's a ton of it. Okay? Not hard to find. Quick little Wikipedia article, quick little Wikipedia search for software testing. Start looking at the links. I guarantee you could have a reading list for every day for the next 60 days. No problem.
What's the problem?
Well, that's what I wanted you to consider. With so much good data on the web, why do you need formal course instruction? Okay? I think what you need, but I'm not sure. It's my best guess from working with other students. I think what you need is someone to sort of filter the fire hose. There's all this great material out there, and as you start dealing with it, you start to find that some of it works for you, some of it's easy to understand, some of it's hard to understand, and some of it conflicts with what you read before. And as soon as you get into that, it's easy to get lost again. I think the reason why you're looking for formal classroom instruction is to filter that fire hose of information and get you the foundation pieces, okay, to build a strong foundation so that then through the rest of your career you can continue to grow your skills in an organized way. You can look at web content and fairly quickly know whether it adds to your game or whether it's something that's not going to help you. You've already got it, or it's not speaking to you in a way needed. So that's why I think. But I'm open to anyone else's understanding. If you have another reason why you think formal education, formal class instruction is important, please just shout it out. Right? Pardon?
While doing the self-study, you might think I can do it tomorrow, there will be a proper schedule when you are doing formal classes.
Yeah, so there's a more formal schedule to it, all right, sort of a discipline to it. I think another piece of the puzzle is some structured exercises. I mean, how do you know if you're doing it well if nobody's looking at your work?
And moreover, somebody can ask your answers just in front of you if you have any questions.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. So I think that self-study is wonderful. I am incredibly impressed by the quality of information that's out on the web now. If you guys happen to take any of the courses that I teach, we will use a variety of existing web content so that we don't have to spend a lot of extra money, okay? We'll have textbooks and such, but there's a lot of free information on the web that's wonderful. However, I do think that, especially for getting started and building your foundation, I think it's important, okay, to have that structure, those filters to kind of learn step by step what the building blocks need to be. A word of caution about certifications in general. Those of you that did any kind of research know that there are several certifications out there, whether they be related specifically to software test or IT in general. Okay? Certifications do not equal an immediate job. I'm sorry. I would be fibbing if I told you that, whoa, you get a piece of paper and you get a job. This is a very competitive job market right now. Okay? Yes, there are many opportunities, but it's competitive. And most employers, especially in this area, don't simply judge you by your pieces of paper. The pieces of paper are important, but you've also got to be able to demonstrate your skills. The classic way I think about it is something like this. You go to an interview and somebody tosses you in, go to the whiteboard and show me how you would do X or Y or Z. Okay? Go to the whiteboard. We can leave that there for a moment. Okay? You've got to be able to demonstrate your skills. Okay? It's not enough to simply say, I read a book, I took a class, I got a certificate. That helps, but it's not the overall. You need both. Okay? Also, software test classes don't equal an immediate pay raise. If you're presently working in this profession, you take some classes, I can't make you any guarantee that you just go to your boss and say, hey, I took 3 classes over at Bellevue College, give me a raise. Doesn't work like that. What I can tell you is this, and I can tell you this from experience with many other students who have been in a situation where they've had a little bit of test experience and then came and took classes. Ultimately, the pay raise came because upon taking the classes, they gained significant new confidence in what they were doing. They not only understood how to do what was needed, but they understood why. And that made them far more valuable on their software team. We have many people in this profession overall who come to work every day and need to be told what to do. In the long run, that is not the formula for making more money or being successful in this business. The formula is to learn what needs to be done when, and how can I get that done. That's what makes you valuable. Does that make sense in your experience? Yeah. Does that make sense in your experience? Yeah. Sometimes I need to test myself.
The most important thing is knowledge and skills.
That's exactly right.
Knowing how to get the job done. You know,
that's exactly right.
That's the most important thing. Not no certificate or degrees. Those are not as important.
This is a knowledge business. This is absolutely a knowledge business. In this business, you really don't get paid by the number of hours you are on the job. You get paid by what you accomplish. And in testing, in the world of software tests, we rarely have enough time to do our work. You'll find that out as you start to learn more about the task of testing, okay? We constantly have to make judgments, trade-offs, prioritize our work, because we never have really enough time for everything. Can you be fast? Can you be efficient? Can you do the right things when needed? Those are the things that matter. Okay. Let's dive into the software test certificate program here at Bellevue College, very specifically. So there are 3 certification programs offered. The core is the software test engineer, what we call the STE certificate. Okay? That's going to be the bulk of what I talk about tonight, and offline I'll talk about the added requirements for these other 2. But I'm assuming that everyone is here tonight to first learn about this certification. There's a key thing I want you to understand right off on. Probably we'll bring it up 2 or 3 times, but I think it's very important. Okay? There is no requirement that you have to sign up for the certification program in order to simply take classes. You can take classes on a one-by-one basis. So if this field sounds interesting to you, but you're still not sure, sign up for Intro to Test, Intro to Software Testing. Take that class, see if it's working for you. If it's working for you, then you can matriculate to the next and the next and the next class. But you don't have to ever sign up for everything in the program just to get started. Make sense? These other 2 programs, the software test development engineer and the database test engineer, these are essentially add-on to your skill set from earning the STE. So that's why I'm not going to spend a significant amount of time talking about those tonight. Because first you need to earn the STE certification.